Good morning. I'll give you a moment to all sit down, just like in school. No, not that one of those, no. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church on this Wabanaki land we now call Brunswick, Maine. My name is Cuffy, or Catherine Chase. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Today is November 5th, 2023, and the reflection today is entitled A Bigger Picture of Generosity, given by Reverend Dr. Karma Amos, with music by Derek Kurtzer, Heidi Neufeld, and the UUCB Choir. In the interest of safety, please note that there are 3 exits to this building. One is through the door you came in, one is directly behind you, second is to the right of the AV booth, and third is in the back of the building past the RE rooms. And we have a couple of announcements. First of all, thank you for all making it here with the delay in time. Oh, I have to fix the clock. Okay. This morning, we extend a special welcome to Phyllis Hartzler. Phyllis is a member of our church and painted the wonderful watercolors in Fellowship Hall. Her work will be on display for the month of November. And from Sharon Brown. Sharon Brown would like everyone to know that there's a collection basket in the back. Sharon Brown's over there, for the Santa Project. So if anybody wants to make a donation to that, she'll take care of that for you, and we'll buy Hannaford cards and give them, I believe, to the gathering place. You ready? Oh, I'm ready. Okay, you go. You go. I'll finish after you.
Good morning, dear friends of UUCB. You know what is coming if you see Red Hat and me. October has passed and we're now in November, and soon, very soon, we'll be in December. Fair elves have been working, there are quite a few, preparing the fair for December too. The vendors are ready, the greeters are too, the lawn signs will be placed by many of you. Our moose, now repaired, can serve us once more, and the youth is preparing our signs for the door. A map has been made to guide visitors through, so please tell your friends about December 2. But most important today, and for the 3 Sundays to come, are the sign-up sheets in the May Sarton room. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Please offer your crafts, your time and your baking, your soups and your jams, whatever you're making. Maybe you'd like to sell soup or some jewels, or white elephants, toys, hats, or some tools. And there's need for you too to help with a table, put up, arrange, and take down if you're able. Also, sign up for the tipping party and the wreath making and cleanup that's not far away. Also today in Fellowship Hall, please pick up the lawn signs. Big thanks to you all. The time is most here. We'll have a grand fair with your help and support and so many who care. Full of fun and hard work, and all of you too. The holiday fair is December 2.
Nicely done. Nicely done. And finally, for all of those who are here in person in the sanctuary, please take a moment to silence your mobile devices. And again, welcome. We're glad to have you with us for the service.
I'm Ann Spencer, a member of the Worship Committee. As we light this chalice with its freely shared light, let us be reminded of the many things that are freely shared with us and that we freely share with others. May we lean into generosity shared from the heart that can warm those around us.
Good morning. My name is Karma Amos, and I am honored to serve as the minister of this congregation and to welcome you to worship. We're glad that you're here. We know that you had a lot of choices this morning when you got up, and we're glad that you chose to be with us. We are all enhanced by being together in community today. To set the tone for our worship today, I want to share a story with you that I first learned from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. And the story goes that there was once a wise woman traveling all through the mountains. One day on her journey, she found a precious stone in a stream. She was so happy and grateful, she knew that it was going to change her life. The next day, she met a man traveling like her through the mountains. He was hungry, and she was happy to share her food with him. But as she opened the bag, the man saw the stone, and he knew somehow that with that stone, he would be able to eat all of his favorite foods, and his mouth watered with longing. Instead of the food, he asked, "Could I have that stone?" The woman looked at him and said, "Of course." And just like that, it was his. The man was so happy, he ran quickly away in case she would change her mind. He just knew his life was going to change. And then a few days later, the man appeared again, carrying the stone in his hands. "Take it back," he said. "Instead, I hope you can give me something even more precious than this precious stone. I hope you can give me whatever it is within you that made it so easy for you when I asked to just give it away." Friends, in this place for this hour, we are all trying to learn how it is when we are asked to trust, to love, to give of ourselves, to share our blessings, so that we can say an easy and great yes, of course. And also, we are here to remember that we all carry with us a precious stone that is a great blessing, a gift that is just ours, a gift we long to offer the world, that in our giving will bless us as well. Would you rise as you are able for our opening hymn, "What Gift Can We Bring?" It's number 404, and the words will also appear on the screen. I believe Derek's going to play it through once before we sing.
Good morning. Now is the time in the service when I would like to call up any young folk who might want to join me for a story. If that's you, come on up. Also, good morning. My name is Tobin Cooney Callahan. I serve as your director of religious exploration. Good morning. Oh, so many colors up here this morning. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Hello. Hello. How are you all this morning? You all look a little bit more awake. Is it because we got an extra hour of sleep? Yeah. Sometimes that makes me more awake, and sometimes that just makes me more sleepy. Does that happen to any of you? So today we are talking about generosity. So I brought this really cool book that I've been hoping to share with you all for a while. Now, who knows what a metaphor is? I see a hand over here. I can remember it as Mira, right? Okay, Mira, what's a metaphor?
Well, I know what it is, but right now I can't.
When you get put on the spot, it is hard to remember. Holden, do you know what a metaphor is?
It's like something you say.
Yeah, it's something you say that's not specifically exactly true, not literally true.
It's like a thought, but it's not necessarily true.
Yeah, so it's a thought about something that you might use to explain how something looks or how something is by comparing it to another thing. Does that make sense? So this book is called My Two Blankets, but it's not actually about physical blankets. Does that sound like a metaphor? All right. There's lots of metaphors in this book, so I think you're going to enjoy it. Hi, Tessa. Can I see, or Tess, sorry. Can I see who you have with you today? It matches your shirt. Did you know that? All right, so here we go. This is called My Two Blankets, and it is by Irina Cabald and Freya Blackwood. Auntie used to call me Cartwheel. Then came the war. Auntie didn't call me Cartwheel anymore. We came to this country to be safe. Everything was strange. The people were strange. The food was strange. The animals and the plants were strange. Even the wind felt strange. Nobody spoke like I did. When I went out, it was like standing under a waterfall of strange sounds. The waterfall was cold. It made me feel alone. I felt like I wasn't me anymore. When I was at home, I wrapped myself up in a blanket of my own words and sounds. I called it my old blanket. My old blanket was warm. It was soft. It covered me all over. It made me feel safe. Sometimes I didn't want to go out. I wanted to stay under my old blanket forever. One day, a girl in the park smiled at me. Then she waved. I wanted to smile back, but I was scared. I kept talking with Auntie. When I looked back, the girl waved again. Next time we went to the park, I looked for the girl. She wasn't there. We went back 3 times before I saw her again. She waved and smiled, and I felt warm inside. The girl came up to us and said something. Her words were very strange. It was like being back under the cold waterfall. But the girl kept smiling. She took me to the swings. I got on and she pushed me higher and higher. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to tell her how glad I was that we were friends, but I didn't know how. When I went home, I hid under my old blanket. I wondered if I would always feel sad. I wondered if I would ever feel like me again. The next time I saw the girl, she brought some words for me. She made me say them over and over. Every time I met the girl, she brought more words. Some of the words were hard. Some of them were easy. Sometimes I sounded funny and we laughed. Sometimes I felt silly and I wanted to cry. At night, when I lay in bed under my old blanket, I whispered the new words again and again. Soon, they didn't sound so cold and sharp anymore. They started to sound warm and soft. I was weaving a new blanket. At first, my new blanket was thin and small, but every day I added the new words to it. The blanket grew and grew. I forgot all about the cold and lonely waterfall. My new blanket grew just as warm and soft and comfortable as my old blanket. And now, no matter which blanket I use, I will always be me. What did you all think of that story? You liked it? Yeah. So, do you know what it was about? What was it about, Holden? It was about friendship. Oh, that was so good. I'm glad you didn't say it was about blankets. It was about love, Tess, exactly. So it was about this little girl who shows up and who's very scared, and this other little girl who just shows up and is kind and is generous with her kindness. Are you all generous with your kindness in that way? Yeah, I know you are. I know that about you. So one of the generous and kind things we're going to do is we are going to make some signs for the holiday fair, and we're going to do that all together in the big RE space in the back. So these folks are going to sing us out now, and we're going to head that way. Will you please join us in singing the children out with "We Will Keep a Place for You."
I'm Julie Dahmer, a pastoral care associate. So this morning we have, I'll start with the concerns. We share the sad news that Dave Ulick died this past week. David and his wife Susan Mondabog, I hope I pronounced that right, were members of UUCB, and our hearts are with Susan and other family members during this time of grief. For joys, we are starting with, today is Nancy Dorian's birthday. She is 87. She's currently in residence at The Garden, 58 Baraboo Drive, Brunswick, 04011. I think this is for cards. Yes, visits and cards are encouraged and welcome. So, other joys. Giving thanks for the opportunity to participate in the democratic process on voting this Tuesday. There's no one name attached, but I think we're all giving thanks to participate. Next, Faith Woodman says she's recovering steadily from recent hip surgery with rest and PT. It'll still be a while before she can get around easily without support. Next, Mary Larson reports happily that her granddaughter arrived home safely from the Middle East. She thanks you for your support. And phew. Sandra Kimball is so thankful for all your cards and well wishes. She is doing well and is awaiting more radiation treatments. And last, we're happy that Phyllis Hartzler's paintings are hanging in the church and that she is here to meet you after the service. So if you are not attending in-person services, or if you're going to have to miss a Sunday, and you'd like a joy or concern read from the pulpit, you can send an email to uucbjoysandconcerns@gmail.com. It's on the screen and everywhere. If you'd like to talk to one of us privately, look for us after the service. We wear light blue ribbons on our name tags, and our names are also in the back of the order of service. We would be happy to speak with you here, or arrange to go for a walk later, or meet for lunch, or be with you in any way that works for you. We offer a listening ear and presence.
Would you join me in a spirit of prayer and contemplation? I offer this prayer by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal beloved of mystery and grace, receive our prayer. We come before that which is greater than ourselves in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, for real, full, and overwhelmed lives. We give thanks for the blessings we have been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, and the unwavering faith that there will be better days. We give thanks and seek your grace, Spirit of love. Come alongside us with all the holy nudges we need, so that we may live in such a way that we celebrate all the blessings we've been given, and so that we may be blessings in the world. Amen. And as a sung response this morning, as we continue in a spirit of prayer and contemplation, I want to invite you to sing Ubi Caritas. The words are in Latin. The literal translation will be on the screen, but I want to give a more UU translation for this. And so what we're singing is, where there is charity and love, there's some special kind of holiness going on right there. Where charity and love are, there are signs that sacredness is afoot. So we're going to sing through this song. The choir's going to sing it a couple of times. If you know it, go ahead and jump in. But then together, we'll just continue this a few times as we sing, watching Heidi.
At the Market, a poem by Rosemary Watola Tromer. Now, when I walk through the market, I think of how someone else here, beside the stir-fry cart and the tie-dye tent, has just lost a beloved and is hiding tears behind sunglasses. Not knowing who they are, I try to treat everyone with kindness. Meanwhile, the day is beautiful for everyone. No matter how broken, how whole our hearts, it gathers us all in a grand blue embrace. Part of me resists calling it a miracle. The other part calls it what it is and strolls through the miracle of Friday morning surrounded by arugula and strawberries, muffins, lilies, and all these other fragile hearts, all of us saying, "Excuse me, good morning, how are you? I'm fine."
You're talking. Right here, Jesse. Light talking. Easy.
We don't know what's coming. We can help shed what's ahead. Kindness is our currency. The Commonwealth is in our hands. So give a little, give a little, give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. There's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Look up now, people, keep your ear to the ground. We are the river flowing, generosity abounds. So give a little, give a little, give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. That's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Honeybees of sweetness, only to help the world bloom, bringing love to the flower, from the flower to the fruit. We could learn a thing or two. So give a little, give a little, give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. There's more than enough.
2 times through.
Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love.
One more time.
Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love.
Friends, what a world we're living in right now. If you are not occasionally overwhelmed or numbed out by the enormity of the challenges we face as a global people, let me say that again. If you are not occasionally overwhelmed or numbed out, I need to consult with you. Please see me after service. Now, I'm only partially kidding, mostly to name what I think might be true for most, if not all of us. These are extraordinarily difficult times in the world for so many people. Most of us don't really know what to do with it all. The news about everything that's taking place since the Hamas attack on Israel and Israel's counterattacks in Gaza is horrific. It's heartbreaking. The numbers of those who have lost lives, loved ones, homes, security, the numbers don't even make sense. There is no way to quantify the suffering that is being exacerbated by anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, both of which need to be called out and resisted in the name of love. The world is not as big as we might think. It's not the case that things that happen on the other side of it do not affect people everywhere on it. Those effects are not felt the same across the board, of course. But because we are an interdependent web of all existence, there are ripple effects that touch nearly all of us. I don't have to remind you, of course, but I also want to name some of the troubles we know all too well right here at home. It provides an important context for the lives we live and for anything we might say. In what used to be called the safest state in the nation, we have experienced the largest mass shooting Maine has ever known before, and we are suffering together. I'm sure you've had more than a few reminders this past week that Maine is not as big a place as we might think. It's a tight-knit community. Those are words that I've heard over and over again this week that I've felt in some ways. And so I know that is rooted in at least some truth. This tight-knit community is a hurting one, but also a strong, resilient, resourceful, and generous one. The latter, of course, is what we're focusing our reflections on throughout this month: generosity. I have been so moved by the generosity of the human response to this tragedy. I know I received text messages and phone calls and emails from friends around the world, people just checking in. Have you as well? My people just check in. They say, "How are you?" You should know this. They also say, "How are your people? How are your church people?" Most of them also said they were thinking of or praying for us during these times. And those statements weren't hollow. They are offered by people who have hearts and hands and feet in the game, people fully engaged in movements for justice and peace and nonviolence, who are also trying to connect spiritually and offer some support. So many people and nations and organizations and corporations even have sent messages of compassion and encouragement to Maine. Hashtag Lewiston Strong probably means something to us. James Taylor sang the national anthem at the bridge game between Auburn and Lewiston this week. The president and the first lady came to mourn with victims' families. More people than ever gave out full-size candy bars this week for Halloween. Because we see hard things and we're moved to offer some sweetness to those who need it. I think if we're paying attention right now, it's impossible not to see prevalent examples of generosity all around us. I was so moved, for example, by the people in my new hometown of Lisbon, who organized a collection for the family of Robert Card. That's an example of generosity that, at least to me right now, said something like this: we are willing and able to stay present in the ambiguity of this absolutely tragic situation and realize that there are no winners here. All of these people are our neighbors, and all of them have lost something precious. The problems that we face with regard to the epidemic of gun violence and the lack of adequate mental health and community resources will not be solved by blame alone. We will find solutions only by coming together and remaining steadfast in our commitment to love, to one another, and to all of our neighbors, near and far. When we think about generosity, money is often the thing that comes to mind first. And being able to share generously of our financial resources is important. It's a very powerful way that we can help connect with others. It's an important spiritual discipline as well. But if we think of generosity only as financial, we're missing the much bigger picture of generosity that is so worthy of our attention. Generosity is not something asked of us or that we embody only when an offering plate comes by, or even with our automated monthly contributions to the organizations we support. Generosity can also be a complete orientation to life. Let me tell you a story as a way of getting at what I'm trying to get at. It's one of my favorite stories of Dorothy Day. This coming Wednesday, would have been her 127th birthday. Dorothy Day, of course, was a social activist, a journalist, an anarchist who brought all of those things to bear as she co-founded the Catholic Workers' Movement. She was utterly committed to the poor, the unhoused, and peace through nonviolent direct action and solidarity with the marginalized. Dorothy was getting arrested for civil disobedience until she was 75 years old. I want to be like her. To the efforts to have her canonized as a saint, she said, "Oh no, please don't do that. I don't want to be dismissed so easily." You see, Dorothy thought if we leave responsibility for doing good things to the so-called saints, then the rest of us don't have to live out our responsibility for living well and with intention. Now, I could talk about Dorothy Day for a long time because I'm inspired by her life, but here's the story I want to tell. Robert Coles describes the first time he met Dorothy Day in this way, and he was writing some time ago. It was on an afternoon almost 35 years ago that I first met Dorothy Day. She was seated at a table talking with a woman who was, I realized quickly, quite drunk, yet determined to carry on a conversation. The woman had a large purple-red birthmark along the right side of her forehead, and she kept touching it as she uttered one exclamatory remark after another, none of which seemed to get the slightest rise from the person sitting opposite her. I found myself increasingly confused by what seemed to be an interminable, essentially absurd exchange taking place between two middle-aged women. When would it end? The alcoholic ranting and the silent nodding, occasionally interrupted by a brief question, which only served maddeningly to wind up the already over-talkative one rather than wind her down. Finally, silence fell upon the room. Dorothy Day asked the woman if she would mind an interruption. She got up and came over to me, and she said, "Are you waiting to talk with one of us?" One of us. With these three words, she had cut through layers of self-importance, a lifetime of bourgeois privilege, and she had scraped the hard bone of pride. With those 3 words, so quietly and politely spoken, she had told me indirectly everything I needed to know about the Catholic worker movement and about her herself. This, among other things, is also a story about generosity. You see, Dorothy models in this story a spirit of generosity, generosity with her time, with her attention, with her listening ear and her questions, with her honoring of the human dignity of the person with whom she spoke. If all we ever did was be generous with one another in insisting that we are all worthy of dignity and respect, it might be enough. I'd be okay if we started there. At times like this, times of tragedy, it seems like many of us feel more uninhibited in our generosity. It flows more freely. When life's fragility becomes apparent, we may be a little more patient with one another. We might try harder. That's an example of generosity. There are so many others. One that I don't think of often enough as an act of generosity is withholding judgment. Many of us are quick to judge what we see as deficiencies or meannesses in others and ourselves. Giving someone the benefit of the doubt, offering grace and understanding about why they might not be at their best, those are also acts of generosity. We can be generous as well with our presence, simply being together when there are no words or clear solutions to be had. I've been touched this week by the generosity of tears. My good friend, Francisco, who's Puerto Rican, lives in New York, tells me all the time, "I don't understand your culture." He's a psychoanalyst and a minister, and he still has not adjusted to how often people from the United States apologize for their tears. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you done it? Well, he says to me, in my culture, if you don't cry when you're feeling grief or sadness or anger or anything, we think something's wrong with you. I think he might be right. We might all be better served if we allowed our emotions authentically, our compassion, our empathy, just to flow, to let them move us closer to one another and to empathy. Even if we're going to need a tissue, it's okay. Perhaps we might try generously offering up some of that pride that keeps us isolated, that impulse not to cry, not to give tears, not to stuff it down or to quickly move on, might not serve us when what we need to do is nurture our connections of compassion. One thing that is important to say is that we have to nurture this generous impulse always, not only when life has fallen apart. We know we're good in tragedies. When terror strikes, our reserves of empathy give us abilities we didn't even know we were capable of until we see ourselves reaching out, helping people we might not have thought we would. What we're not as good at is remembering to intentionally sustain this spirit of generosity all the time when times aren't awful. This week, the generous outpourings are incredible, but they will recede. We will fall back into normal habits and preoccupations, and we don't have to. We can choose otherwise. We can nurture a spirit of generosity as a discipline, a practice that helps us embody our best values every day. I have a framed print in my office of a quotation, likely misattributed to Philo of Alexandria, but true nonetheless. It says, "Be kind, for everyone you know is fighting a great battle." If we need difficulty to remind us to be generous, well, it's always a tragedy for someone. There's always something going on in someone's life that is causing them concern, draining off the resources that they may otherwise put into productive and positive things. All of us reach the end of our ropes sometimes, some of us daily. My point is this: we do not need to wait until a tragedy occurs to widen our hearts. Every day, in every life, people need kindness. People need understanding. People need love. If we look, if we see their eyes, we will know they are calling out for something. Every day, we are in a position to offer something to someone else. A smile, a cup of tea, a compliment, a check, a conversation, a hug. These are not small gifts. Sometimes they mean everything. The bigger picture of generosity is not transactional, and it is not capitalistic. It is about how we make room in our lives for others, as well as for our truest selves, to emerge and reach out. A poem by Lynn Unger has been stirred up in my memories by this topic, and I want to share it with you. It's called Cottonwood Trees, another metaphor. The cottonwoods are flinging themselves outward, filling the air with spiraling flurries, covering lawns in deepening drifts. You could call this generosity. Like any being, they let loose what they have in order to survive, in order that their lives might continue in a new year's growth. The more seeds they send out on their lofted journeys, the greater the chance for their kind to flourish. There is no hesitation. No one asks how much they will give. Without words, they know so clearly that everything depends on what we call giving, that which the world knows only as creation. Generosity, our intentional sharing of what we have with others, our kindness, our love, our forgiveness, our presence, these are ways that we are creating a new world, a new way of being in community, or in more epic language, a new heaven and a new earth. One of my favorite new authors, Patrice Curtis, says, "When our souls align with our power, and when we push fear of scarcity aside, generosity happens and the world changes." May this be so with us and in us and through us.
Hi, my name is Pat Moore, and I'm a member of the Worship Committee. This is a time in the service when we receive the offering. I think that Karma has said it all, so I have nothing more to say about that. Each month, we have a charity with soul, and half of the proceeds from the basket that we gather goes to that charity with soul. There's a new one this month, and it is the Gathering Place. And the mission of the Gathering Place is to provide a safe, welcoming, and comfortable space for individuals to gather in downtown Brunswick during the daytime hours. Guests are offered respect, encouragement, companion, support, and hope. You can see it inside your order of worship. Give it a read.
Can you hear my cries? Can you see my eyes? I am calling out to you. Can you hear my cries? Can you see my eyes? I am calling out to you. Calling in the distance softly. Could it be the sound of my heart? Here I am before you, reaching. Could it be I'm slipping away? Can you hear my cries? Can you see my eyes? I am calling out to you. Suddenly I see I'm falling, trying to find a way off the ground. Will I see the future in me? As I see it slipping away. Can you hear my cries? Can you see my eyes? I am calling out to you. Calling out, calling out. Can you hear? I know you can hear. I know you can hear. Can you see? I know you can see. I know you can see. I am calling out to hear my cries. Can you see my eyes? Can you feel my eyes? Can you feel my eyes? Tell me, can you? Yes, you can hear. Yes, you can hear me. Tell me, can you see? Can you hear my eyes? Can you see my eyes? Can you feel my cries? Can you feel my eyes? Tell me, can you? Yes, you can hear. Yes, you can hear me. Tell me, can you see? Can you hear? Can you hear me?
please say with me the congregation response? May these offerings sustain and grow the work of this church, weaving a tapestry of love and action.
As we close, I want to offer you a generous blessing by Donna Markova. So be ready to receive. May you live a loved life. May you never diminish your mind or limit your heart. May you stand calm in a wide moment between the sky that lifts you and the gravity that grounds you. May you let loving unfurl you, then give you away. May you remember you are nest, harbor, garden. May you pass life forward, so that which came from those before you and that which grows in those next to you will go on to those who will follow you. May you go blessed. I want to invite you to remain seated for our closing hymn today. We're going for a more contemplative ending. This is a chant, "Open my heart to all that I may seek. Let me be part of the love you give." And so we're going to sing through this several times as we end today.
Greet your neighbor. I always like to say that.
I was waiting for you. I like that you let the bell finish its sound first. I think there's another striker somewhere that's lost, maybe.
Is Lisa going to be here to close the church? She's got something